Here's what no one on the coasts will say out loud. TikTok is about to become the most valuable political asset in America, maybe the world. And the people scrambling to control it aren't artists or coders or even the youth. They're power brokers, media barons, cloud titans, politicians who figure out that whoever programs the For You page can, in a very real sense, program the country. That's the story behind Washington's long, tortured crusade to force TikTok's Chinese parent ByteDance to sell. It's not just about national security, though that's the sales pitch. It's about narrative security. Who decides what you see, what you think is normal, and what you never hear at all? And right now, as we speak, the deal to slice off a US-controlled TikTok is being choreographed in broad daylight. 6 or 7 board seats would go to Americans. Oracle would hold the keys to the data and the algorithm. And a hand-picked investor group, including some very familiar names, would become the new landlords of America's attention span. Let's start with the basics. Earlier this year, the Supreme Court cleared the path for Congress's divest or ban law saying, if ByteDance doesn't sell, TikTok is gone from US app stores. Overnight, the debate went from should we to when we will. That's not a small change. A country of 170 million users was told the content you consume, the audience you build, the business you run, those are all now depend on a political timetable. That's astonishing, but it happened. And it triggered a frenzied round of talks that, in the last week, have moved from rumor to near reality. Officials are now saying an imminent deal will put the algorithm, TikTok's golden goose under American control. Translation, the code that decides whether your video dies or detonates will sit on this side of the Pacific, and the Americans will sit in the big chairs. Who are those Americans? You'll recognize the cast. Larry Ellison, Oracle's billionaire founder, whose servers already hold TikTok's US data. Michael Dell, yes, the PC guy, now a serious private equity player. And just recently, the president floated 2 names that tell you exactly where this is going. Rupert and Leland Murdoch, the Murdochs, architects of the Fox media machine, hovering over the most addictive content pipeline ever built. If you're wondering whether politics and media are about to merge even more completely than they already have, wonder no more. The White House says Americans will control 6 of 7 board seats. The implied message is blunt. We took the app from Beijing and handled it to people we're comfortable with. That's the plan. Power changes hands, not principles. TechCrunch laid out the ground truth. This fight has lurched forward in stops and starts for years. Microsoft kicked the tires, Walmart flirted, Oracle won cloud custody, and court challenges delayed everything. But the political momentum never died. It hardened. And this month it crystallized. Divest or disappear. If you're a creator, that's not a policy nuance. It's an extinction level event. If the deal falls apart at the last minute, if Beijing refuses to export the algorithm IP or Washington decides the new board isn't American enough, millions of livelihoods vanish overnight. So the urgency is real. Every faction wants this resolved, but on their terms. Will this actually happen? The money says yes. The US and China have moved closer to a swap that carves TikTok's US business into a distinct American-controlled company. Deadlines keep shifting, the political version of moving the goalpost, but the pressure is building. At some point, someone has to own this thing. excuse me, and the market, which hates uncertainty, is screaming for closure. Meanwhile, the White House is telegraphing the headline they want. Algorithm controlled by America. That's the language. Not protected, not walled off, controlled. If words still mean anything, that one does. Of course, Beijing has its own red line. The algorithm is not a toy. It's a state-controlled export. China has the legal power to block the sale of advanced recommendation tech on national security grounds. It's national security, not ours. That's been the quiet standoff for months. Can you sell the house without a foundation? No. You can't sell TikTok without a For You page. A US TikTok stripped off the brain that made it irresistible would turn into another Reels clone and limp to the back of the App Store. Even the deal's boosters admitted, if America doesn't get the algorithm, this thing might collapse on day one. So when you hear controlled by America, what they're really promising is the crown jewels. The code, the weights, the refinery that turns raw video into a dopamine. Will China let that go? We're about to find out. But set aside the geopolitics and ask the more subversive question. What does American control actually mean for you? Will your feed suddenly get less political? Will it protect kids from the sludge of addictive content? Will it stop shoving divisive rage bait into your brain at 2 a.m.? Don't bet on it. The incentives don't change just because the passports do. The same engagement machine that rewarded drama yesterday will reward it tomorrow, just with new hands on the steering wheel. Go read the forums. The cynicism is bipartisan. Some see a China to Trump handoff, same manipulation, different operator. Others think the algorithm will be kneecapped on purpose to make domestic competitors happy. You don't need to agree with the Reddit hive mind to hear the point. Control does not equal virtue. It only guarantees control. Here's another thing you're not supposed to notice. The people poised to buy TikTok are not free speech absolutists. They're business realists. They live by the dashboard. If the numbers tell them certain topics drive ad risk, those topics will vanish. If regulators hint that one presidential campaign is destabilizing, that campaign will find its reach mysteriously throttled. You watched this movie on other platforms for years. Now imagine a version of it with the most potent discovery engine ever invented, in a board packed with political patrons who can call the product team directly. That's not a conspiracy. That's corporate governance. Meanwhile, creators are working the calculator. Do you bet your livelihood on a platform that could be remade by committee? Or do you move? Some already have hedging on YouTube Shorts, double posting to Instagram Reels, emailing their audience, even building little SMS lists like it's 2010 again. They've learned the hard lesson of the attention economy. Rent the platform, own the audience. If you don't, one court order and a few signatures can erase 5 years of your life. And Washington just shoved it'll sign those orders with a smile if it can wave the flag while doing it. Now for the national security argument, the one that started all this. Does China harvest data through TikTok? Almost certainly. Do US companies, by the way, also harvest data through everything? Absolutely. What made TikTok intolerable wasn't just data. It was influence, soft power at industrial scale. Not propaganda the old way. No grainy speeches and flags, just a million micro nudges. Which topics trend and which quietly sink. Which voices rise when certain bills are on the floor. which narratives get gas and which get a wet blanket. The scariest part is that you can do all of that without leaving a single fingerprint. The machine is the message, and policymakers finally realized it. Hence the law, hence the deal, hence the grab for the algorithm itself. There is a darker punchline. If national security means our side decides what you see, then congratulations. We just imported the logic of our adversaries. China says the algorithm is a national security asset. America now says the same. You can applaud the result. Maybe it's necessary, but admit the cost. We've accepted that a content engine is sovereign infrastructure, like a port or a power grid. Once you accept that premise, it won't stop at TikTok. The next crisis will be about who controls the next algorithm, then the next. Eventually, all feeds become federalized by proxy, regulated, nudged, safeguarded, until you wake up and realize the internet is a utility and utilities serve the state. If that makes you queasy, good. It should. So what happens next? The smart money says a deal probably with Oracle at the center lands with a thud, and the White House declares victory. We forced a sale, secured the algorithm, put Americans in charge. Wall Street breathes out. Creators pause their moving to shorts videos. Beijing issues a statement about mutual respect and legal compliance. And both sides claim they won. Then the quiet part begins. The new US board hires a trust and safety SWAT team the size of a Midwestern town. The feed gets a little blander, a little safer, a little more patriotic in the margins, and when election season heats up, you'll notice subtly what you don't see. That's how you'll know the deal closed. But there is an alternative timeline. China refuses to export the algorithm. The deal dies, and the deadline finally sticks. The app is banned from US app stores. Your kids wake up to an error message. A black market of APKs blooms. VPNs trend. A dozen copycats rush in smelling blood. Instagram and YouTube throw parades for their advertisers. And something else happens, something important. Washington learns that it can, in fact, shut down a platform at scale, and do it with public approval. If you run any other network, you get the message. You will comply. And if you won't, we will find a reason why you must. That's a precedent you don't roll back. So where do I land? If the choice is foreign manipulation or domestic control, I'll take domestic control every time. Nations exist, borders matter, independence is real. But let's be adults about what this is. We're not saving speech. We're moving the studio. The feed won't get more honest because a new board sits in Menlo Park or Austin. It will get more aligned with our censors, our advertisers, our election calendar. Maybe that's the least bad option, but it is not some moral purification ritual. It's a transfer of power from one set of hands to another, if you support it with your eyes open. The truth is that TikTok did not convert your kids into zombies because it was Chinese. It converted them because the human brain is soft clay under a fire hose of novelty. That will remain true whether Larry Ellison, Michael Dell, or Rupert Murdoch is holding the hose. The only antidote is to build thicker walls around the mind, habits, family, faith, offline life, and to diversify power so no single feed can gate reality. Until then, the algorithm is king, the board is court, and you are the subject. The palace may move from Beijing to a glass box in Texas. The throne does not. One last note to the creators who built real businesses on this platform. Act like the adults the politicians pretend to be. Export your audience, email list, SMS, community, Subscriptions. Own a channel no one can seize at 2 a.m. because a safer needs a win before midterms. The state is telling you what time it is. Believe it. Then do the one genuinely revolutionary thing left online. Make yourself non-cancelable by any board, in any capital. That's freedom on the internet now. And it's the only part of this story you can actually control. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss an update. Your support lets me keep bringing you more content just like this. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.